Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.
Welcome back to the TGIF podcast. Thank God it's footy. Sitting here on a Monday before team lists
slightly
have been announced a bit earlier, with the week coming up. Things have kind of popped up along the week. But still on holidays. Been cranking the Pokemon the last few days. How's that?
Yeah, a bit of a throwback to the old childhood. A little bit of a Pokemon throwback during the holidays. It's been nice. It was going through a few old bits and pieces and came across some Pokemon memorabilia, you could say, and it sparked the interest. So smashed that out over the last few days. But yeah, one last week of holidays to go, and time to start sorting myself out again, getting a few bits and pieces sorted. But on a Monday, a little bit earlier in the week than what we used to. No team list, like you said, so we haven't come out with any picks as such.
Any tips? Stay tuned potentially.
I will while we're sitting here, I will try and whip up a little King of the Oki, because those should still be up there. But we might a little bit later on in the week chuck up a little post of a few tips that we might sort of manage to whip out a little bit later on in the week. But not that it really matters for me. Another duck egg over the weekend.
Yeah, look.
I was close in a few. I thought there was a couple of games there where I thought it was going to come off, and I bloody was done in. So
a couple of good weeks on the bounce for you. I thought you were clawing your way back.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I started to get a couple of wins under the belt.
Like a $13 gap this week between us.
Oh.
So I managed to jump myself a little bit back ahead again. Still,
goodness me,
still overall rough in the red, but as we keep saying, we're trucking along. I'm pretty cut because I had Ricky involved in my Brisbane multi, and it was going to give pretty much triple it from about $8 to nearly 25, but I pussied out of the Ricky. Should have backed my guns. Serves me right. As Troy Deeney may say, not having the cojones.
No cojones, yeah. So maybe I will have to try and whip out a few this week just to try and get myself back up a little bit.
But I mean, one cool thing that did happen this week that I'll have to quickly shout out: First Club 180 for yourself.
Yeah, first Club 180. What did we record on Tuesday last week? Didn't we?
Yeah, so
recorded on Tuesday. Yeah, Wednesday night. I always. We do the scoring on the old knacker, and I always send it out to a few of the boys.
Took me by surprise when I saw it. I was like, oh shit, it's like fucking last throw. And
in between a 40 and a 26 or something like that. But send it out to the boys and send it out to my mum and my sister, and they tune in and have a little watch. And yeah, First Club 180. I hadn't had one in a few months, just in general, and I had one in warm up. And then versing this Irish bloke. First one in the left of the bed, second one in the right, and the third one, all I thought was just don't fucking miss the board, pretty much, and managed to slot it in the middle, and I just did a couple of big chahus. Loved it, pretty stoked. So we'll get a badge in a couple of weeks, and then actually the bloody next day pulled out a 180 against Fred, but also shout out to Fred as well. It's we pulled up against each other in the old knockout round. So it's 3-0 now. He's got me in 3 matches. So he got me 3-1 there on Wednesday, and he's beaten me all 3 times that we've come up against each other at Birkenhead. But we seem to just fall apart when we play each other. We sort of play our worst starts because we don't really feel the pressure, and not taking any credit away from him. He's still obviously got the win, but I was maybe quietly a little bit confident following on from the 180. Maybe that's what it was. Thought I was going to come away with the win a little bit too easy, but pretty cool. So hopefully we can maybe get another one. What's it tomorrow? Not tomorrow, Wednesday night. Haven't probably played as much darts over these holidays as I was wanting to. I was going to go bloody get a new set of darts as well the next day, and after the 180, I thought, oh, well, maybe we'll stick with these for a little bit longer. So, but probably enough about me. Enough about my darting accolades. Nothing too special to bring you just yet, but we'll have a little look at the team of the week now. Starting off there in the team of the week in the fullback jersey, we've got Reece Walsh, who seemed to be the spearhead of the turnaround, the comeback in that game there for the Broncos on the weekend.
Yeah, a couple of early tries there for the Titans, and all of a sudden a few moments of Reece Walsh magic later, and they're staring at a 43-24 scoreline.
43-26, I think he got maybe the kick.
So bizarre scoreline, but yeah, great game for Reece Walsh there at the back. I think he's appeared 2 or 3 times here in our team of the week, and I think he moves himself back up, joint top of that Dally M leaderboard.
He's out there with Harry Grant now in 20.
Harry Grant, I think he might be equal with someone else like Renault.
Oh, okay.
Haas.
Dally M.
Again?
Dally M leaderboard. Where are we? After round 7. Harry Grant, Payne Haas, and Reece Walsh.
All on 20.
All on 20.
Yeah. So it was those 3 there. All tied up. So, yeah, well done, Reece. And joining him in that back 3, another Queenslander there on one wing, Murray Tuolangi. Great game on a losing team there on Saturday afternoon at Mount Smart. And then on the other wing, member of the opposition team, Big DWZ, had himself a great game. He's just recently come back from an injury, and seems to have found that form again that he was showing in the pre-season, where he was tearing sides up. And I thought as well defensively he was really, really good. Yeah, two blokes there from the same game, 2 wingers, and both had pretty awesome games. It hurts me to have a Warrior in there, but I was hoping that was going to be the result that may turn it around for the Cowboys and maybe get them a win and push the Warriors back further down the ladder a little bit, but wasn't to be. But both of those 2 blokes make their way into the team of the week, and joined in the backs there, the two blokes coming in at centre. We got Penasini and Graham, who both had 2 really good games, I thought, over the weekend. Yeah, Penasini getting himself a meaty up against the Dogs, and Campbell Graham, at least a double, was it? Yeah, a double, I believe. I'm pretty sure. That's 5 tries in the last 2 weeks for Campbell Graham. Like you said last week, he seems to just sort of be getting quickly turning into a superstar. Yeah, better and better each week, and showing what he's worth. So both make their way into that back line there, and we've got a nice, maybe a throwback, you could say, halves pairing here. You might have seen these 2 blokes named in your halves team of the week 6, 7, 8 years ago. Dylan Walker and DCE. Dylan. I've got Dylan. Cody. Oh, Cody there. You've got Cody there. Yeah. Because I thought he tore the. He did, but I just kind of. Dylan had a great game. Maybe possibly just coming off the back. Maybe it can just be of DWZ. I just had Warriors in my head. Yeah. We probably should have discussed that there. That was just my assumption, I guess. I've got Cody Walker. I would, I would much rather have Cody Walker. Well, I thought Dylan Walker had a good game, got himself a meaty, and he seems to have been really awesome for the Warriors. I've thought. He's a good utility. He can slot anywhere in the back line. I just had that assumption there that's what we were talking about. So maybe we can take your pick. We'll give them both an appearance. Yeah, I was just gonna say, should we make it like a more what do you call it, like a merge, an anamorph, anamorph of the 2, Cody and Dylan. Cody and Dylan. So we'll give them both an appearance at the end of year stats. But either way, they both played well, and then DCE.
No mix-ups here. I didn't read that properly then. But yeah, no mix-ups here. We know who this was. And he had an awesome game.
Awesome game, despite copping a couple of late hits there from the Melbourne Storm players. Got back up and steered that Manly side to a great one in a good game there on Friday night. Was it Friday night?
Friday night, yeah.
It was a great game. DCE, front and centre for Manly as he has been over the years. But that rounds out the backs. We'll move into the forwards, and unfortunately for you, we do have another warrior there.
But I have just clicked as well though. We do have 3 double barrels this week. 3, which is so I'm more than happy to involve
triple double
DWZ and AFB here in the TGA team of the week. A triple double of double barrels. So huge fan of that. Infinite Blake makes his way into the team of the week there. An awesome game for the Warriors again.
Another one in the team of the week who grabbed himself a meaty.
Yeah, he's been a bit of a standout for the Wires this week, and he's joined there in the propping role for the 7th week in a row.
Big Payne
Haas. Have the Broncos had a bye?
No,
they haven't. It is 7 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And it was a close one actually. There we did have a few other options, but I did kind of maybe a slight bias on wanting to keep him in. He's your captain. You can't drop your captain. So he probably does stick around for a little bit longer. But that's your 2 props, and slotting there in that hooking position. We've gone for Brayley. An awesome game there. Dedicated his match-winning try to his injured brother there, who obviously did the ACL last week.
Yeah, good on him. Great game for the Sharkies. In a tight affair with the Chooks there. So yeah, another one who had himself a great game. And we move into the back row. For what seems like the 4th or 5th time already this season. Amole Olakau'atu there. Great performance again for Manly. Probably
huge hit.
Yeah, probably a bit different compared to what we're used to in terms of we may be used to seeing a few flashy plays on attack.
Yeah, this was a bit more like brute force,
old school.
Yeah, we
straight up the guts.
Saw the strength come out in this game here, and he was unreal. And that hit I think will probably be up there for hit of the season.
Yeah,
and they're absolutely monstered. Justin Olam, shout out to Olam for not taking the step on and trying to get away from him.
Running it straight,
running it straight at him, and
it's always good to see.
Absolutely rolled. So, and he got up and looked like he took a couple of seconds to sort of readjust, but good on him. He did well. Then joining him there in that second row position, a bloke who unfortunately caused a bit of pain for your lads there on Sunday. Hudson Young slot in there in the other slot there.
Yeah, probably the game-defining moment, you would say, towards the death. We had the ball first tackle down in the 10 after a good period of pressure on the Raiders line, and scores were 14-10 at that stage, and 90 metres later, Hudson Young off a 1-1 strip, dots down and breaks the Dragons' hearts effectively, which sucked to see, but yeah, got to admit when you beat, and Hudson Young, what a game. Another one similar to Campbell Graham.
Each week keeps getting better and better. And
came into NRL under the radar, not much hype around him, but yeah, just keeps getting better and better, like you said. And all of a sudden he's in the talk for an Origin jumper, same as Campbell Graham. So
awesome game from him. And the man there who takes that locking position, we didn't manage to get his brother into the team this week, who I did think had nothing too outstanding there against the Storm, but Tommy did have a good game, I thought. But Jakey's taken that 13 jersey here, and a really solid performance from him up against the Storm, and making sure that they came away with the 2 points there.
Yeah, similar to Olakau'atu, wasn't it? Just plenty of brutal hits, and you expect that out of Jakey. Probably didn't miss a tackle all night as usual, and yeah, led the Manly pack with exactly how he usually does, chopping blokes in half all day.
Yeah.
So good on him. He rounds out the team for this week for round 7.
Yeah, as always, a pretty tasty looking team there. You'd do well to fit them under the cap, I think. But you do well with them running out 1 to 13 each week. But it rounds us off for our team of the week. Like we said, we'll give both Walkers. We'll give both Walkers a shout out there. They can both get an end of year appearance stat to go towards the team of the season. But as we move into this week, we've got a few, obviously, as we are on a Monday, a few days to wait. Who knows what these lineups are going to be? You can make your assumptions as to how these games are going to go and how they're going to line up come Thursday for this one. But Souths versus Penrith, a bit of a rematch of the grand final from a few years ago, and should be a really awesome game. This one here Thursday night.
Yeah, what was it, round 2? We might have seen this game.
Round 2, I think.
Yeah, so we sort of tied a fair bit out of Penrith last time. So I'm thinking this week, Souths with that home advantage, maybe that draws things slightly in their favour. But look, Penrith, apart from last week against Newcastle, where I don't necessarily think they were bad.
I think Newcastle just were up for the game, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you look at the 2 preceding weeks, Penrith have really found their straps, and if it's a tight arm wrestle like that, they tend to win more than they lose.
Yeah.
And we saw evidence of that up in Newcastle. And then South's absolutely obliterating the Dolphins their second half.
Yeah, the Dolphins obviously came out to a good little start there, got the first try and had a little bit of a lead, and half time came around, and that second half they just sort of blew them out the park there in the end, and came away with a real commanding performance, I thought, in that second half. But yeah, both, like you said, apart from that game last week, Penrith have come into their form, and so have the Bunnies. So I think it's going to be an awesome matchup. You've got both teams there with players who can change something like that, as it could be one of those games where it does come down to just a little moment of brilliance. Maybe is it another Cleary field goal? Is it Latrell pulling out something with a couple of minutes to go? There's lots of players there that can pull something out the bag. I think it's probably going to come away pretty close, I think, in this one here. Both teams, like we said, finding that form. Both teams will be both wanting to get a win. It's a tough one there to pick, I think. It's hard to sort of go either way in this one.
Yeah, look, there's definitely arguments both sides. Penrith, you might say, over the last few years have had the edge. But Souths are also due one over Penrith, I reckon. And look, last couple of weeks you've been trying to wrangle that Golden Point bet. This might be might be a good shout.
With Penrith having, maybe not though, with Penrith having Golden Point last week, is it maybe bad omen trying to go from Daniel like
true.
that? But yeah, that's a good point. I have tried to sort of work one out recently, so see how we go. I'll have a look tomorrow once the teams come out and see what we've got involved. But what way are you leaning?
I probably have to give Penrith
Benefit of the doubt?
Benefit of the doubt on this one.
Benefit of the doubt, yeah.
Nathan slots a field goal and Golden Point to win it.
Yeah. No, I've got to say I'm probably leaning towards Penrith as well. They bring back the benefit of the doubt call. They score a try in the corner. One time only, try in the corner.
And it was because the camera's blacked out at the moment.
Yeah, couldn't see it.
And there's nothing to do. And instead of just saying we're staying with the on-field call, they say, mate, you got that old graphic?
Yeah, whip it out, mate. Get it over
Boom.
here.
Nutrigrain.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Nutrigrain are going, fuck.
That's a throwback.
Free
yeah.
advertisement.
But I guess there you go. We're both leaning towards Penrith, but I do think it'll be a close one. It's going to be a tight one. But an awesome game to start off 8th week of NRL footy. And we move straight into another awesome matchup there to start off our Friday night footy. Obviously, it's an unusual week of games here. Now, I don't want to end up saying something wrong eventually, but I do believe we've only got 2 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday, and then is it 2 come Tuesday?
1 Thursday, 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2
Sunday.
No, maybe just 1 Sunday.
2 Sunday and then 2 Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the one.
So this is
Friday night footy game there for you.
Yeah. So
but it's a good game.
Banger, yeah, they've teed us up with a good one. Parramatta up against Brisbane. We were just saying before earlier to one of the bros how this could be the week maybe where Parramatta do manage to knock Brisbane off the perch there. Coming away with a pretty solid win last night up against the Doggies there.
Yeah, 30-4 there for Para. Started off as a bit of an arm wrestle for those first sort of 15 minutes. And then once Parramatta scored, Penasini there, they just kept coming, which...
A weakened Doggies team, obviously.
Yeah, you probably can't.
So it's a bit rough on the...
Probably can't give them too much stick for that. But
I think it could have been a little bit closer if they'd had a full
complement of
fully fledged
players.
squad. Yeah, so...
Definitely quite the injury toll at the moment there at the Dogs.
It's good signs for Power, obviously, after sort of the pretty slow start to the season that they've had, to making sure that they did come away with the win and a resounding win at that. So I think they'll be happy the way that they played there.
Yeah, they can't afford to lose too many more after the start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, it is still early days.
It's early days, and no one's really running away with it yet.
Yeah, it's been a little bit close up there at the top. So, like you said, early days, so it's not too much of a worry for them. And up against a Brisbane team who probably got a little bit of a scare, I'd say, early on. They're up against Titans and that Brisbane derby there. A bit of a... Again, it's another one that's tough to pick. I think the Broncos, in that second half, they just sort of came out firing, and we spoke about it before, talking about Reece Walsh, the performance that he had, obviously came out there and sort of really turned the game around, I thought, for the Broncos. And again, both teams with players that can sort of change the game in an instant, and really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, exactly. Brisbane, they'll be hoping that they can start this one a bit faster than they did on the Saturday night there down in the Gold Coast for them. But like you said, full of superstars for both sides. Like you look at the Eels, they'll be looking for Moses and Brown there in the halves to have big games. Gutho out the back. Plenty of their forwards. I don't know if Paulo might be back from from suspension this week.
Not too.
We'll have to wait till tomorrow,
I guess. Yeah.
Unless we go and dig up when he got banned and how long it was for. But plenty of big names for Para, and likewise for Brisbane. We've already mentioned Reece Walsh, and then you got Reno. He'll be looking to control this one, and both the centres for Brisbane are incredible players. Both their wingers, pretty handy players there, and another pretty stacked forward pack, so it'll be a great game. Technically a Parramatta home game, but this one's up in Darwin.
Yeah.
So bizarre to see, what sort of numbers we get with the crowd. I'm thinking the fact that Brisbane was like the earliest northernmost team. I don't know who they support up in Darwin.
Yeah,
if they've got an affiliation with anyone there. But I have a feeling that they might get behind the Broncos a bit more than Para in this one.
Yeah, I think you're possibly right. They might have. I'm thinking.
Might be like, the rest of Aussie doesn't really like the Sydney as much.
Yeah.
Compared, and maybe Melbourne as well.
Compared to
other places. But like that in New Zealand, like everyone likes to see a team from Auckland get beat.
Yeah.
So interesting to see how this one plays out. It'll be tight either way.
Yeah.
Neutral ground makes it
I'm probably
even more interesting.
Probably leaning towards Brisbane, I think, in this one.
Yeah,
it's probably tougher
your
than that last
Your
game.
head tells you Brisbane, but Parramatta do have a record in recent history for getting up for these sorts of games and beating those sides that are real premiership contenders, and then maybe just sort of having an off day against someone that's not in that position, sort of down the bottom of the table. So I think they'll be really up for this one. But you're right, I think Brisbane just edge it for me. Again, maybe a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, benefit of the doubt, I think. We're going to give it to them. Lean towards Brisbane. But like we said, the one game for our Friday this week. We get into a Standy Saturday. Standy Saturday must be there. Yeah, we did say that, didn't we? First game up, Doggies up against Cronulla. And as we just said, obviously the Doggies going through a bit of a crisis in terms of injuries at the moment. Their list of injuries is I think nearly in double figures.
Yeah, and it's big name players as well.
Yeah, it's quite big. So missing quite a few, and a few blokes possibly that you may not have heard of involved in those run-on lineups there for the Doggies. But and it's a bit rough on them because we did sort of see them start the season with quite a bit of hope, I thought. They played a few games there with some really good performances from those big name players that they've got involved there. And up against the Cronulla side here, who we know the talent that they can show. We know the talent that they have, but sort of struggling to find a little bit of consistency at the moment here.
They do seem to be a little bit 1 week on, 1 week off there. If you look at their last 3 games, they've obviously had a bye there, but last 4 weeks, you go back 4 weeks ago, they beat us. Or whatever, go back 3 weeks ago, they beat us very convincingly. Off the back of an amazing Nico Hines comeback from injury there, and then the next week they go and blow a 20-point lead to the Waz there, and then off the back of the bye they come back and they beat the Chooks in a really good, tough, gritty affair that they would have been stoked with probably their defence in that one more than anything. The way they controlled the game and I guess limited the Chooks for, was it 14, 16 points?
Yeah, something close, small like that, yeah.
They'll be hoping that can kickstart a run for them, and yeah, you're probably not going to, when the team lists come out tomorrow afternoon, or this afternoon by the time this is released, probably not going to give them too much chance if you run it down 1-13, but they've been a good side this year. We seem to say it every week, but stranger things have happened. But look, any side with Nico Hines steering you around the park.
Yeah, it's going to be...
It's going to be a tough day out for the Dogs, I reckon.
Yeah, tough. That's exactly what I was about to say. It's going to be tough for them to really, I think, get underway in this game here. I think the Sharkies probably will be too strong. I mean, if the Doggies can start well and maybe get a bit of fight in them, then who knows what we'll see. Like you said, stranger things have happened, but I'm probably leaning towards the Sharkies in this one. I think that's going to be the way I'm going, I think, this week.
Yeah, I don't think I'd have to give them much benefit of the doubt here. If I was going to tell you to put your money in any of the brackets, it would be Cronulla 13.
I mean, I can't imagine the value would be too flash. But...
Can't imagine the value would be too flash, but if you were asking me which one I'd be picking, that would be the way I'd be going. No benefit of the doubt in this one.
Well, that starts us off for our Saturday. And second game of Standy Saturday that we get ourselves into. The Cowboys up against the Knights. If you'd told me if you'd told me this fixture, you asked me to pick this fixture at the start of the season, I probably would have said that the Cowboys would have absolutely dicked the Knights. And that would have even been with a fit Ponga. I would have said that they would have probably gone through and rolled them the way that the Cowboys had played last year, and the way it's gone for them now this time around. They're languishing down there in 16th I think it is. I believe, just above the Tigers there, and yeah, really, really not how we thought this was going to go for them. And I think now it's a completely different game than what anyone would have thought it would have been coming into the 8th week of the NRL season. Cowboys just absolutely struggling, and the Knights have seeming to pull off these performances that out of nowhere. We definitely didn't expect this from either side, I don't think.
Yeah, look, Cowboys down sitting there at 2-5 on the year, so a win for the Tigers, all of a sudden, points difference probably isn't in your favour.
Yeah, but
all of a sudden things aren't looking so bleak. You've got a contender for the spoon, and I don't think it'll be too long before we're down there in the pit with you as a Saints fan. But yeah, look back on this one, North Queensland. Say it every week, starting to sound like a broken record, as they say, but just hasn't clicked for them this year. I think if you look at the game, it was a much better effort at Mount Smart there. That, like, looking down the statistics of the game, they dominated pretty much everything.
They just couldn't score.
It wasn't very inspiring with the ball in hand.
Yeah.
The Warriors were good defensively. Give them a lot of credit. Like, Mount Smart's always going to be a tough place to go and grab 2 points, and it seems like this year it's going to be extremely tough, no matter who you are. But look, yeah, you got to be dishing out better than that if you want to be winning games of NRL footy.
Yeah, I think
for the Cows.
I think you're right. Definitely putting in a better effort, and like we said, it is a tough place to go to Mount Smart. It's going to be even harder this year. But they need to find a little bit of spark. Tamalolo now injured. I don't know how long for. I'll see if there's anything about it, but I did see something about that today, that he's going to be out for a wee while. So to lose your big man like that, it's going to be tough for them there, I think.
Yeah, it's disappointing, I think.
At least a month.
Look, it's tough for them. He's a big leader for them in the pack there, and a huge miss. Gets through a lot of work for the Cowboys.
They've also got a pretty huge injury list at the moment, the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think
Jake Granville playing in the front row.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking
fullback 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, rugby league is. I mean, obviously, there's not too many blokes out there in the NRL that could play both prop and fullback.
I think there's only been like 3 players to ever do it.
But it shows you that, like, you know, you can simplify the game, I suppose.
Well, he's just
if you wanted, he's just like a battler. You know, if you're a good battler, you find a place for someone like that in a rugby league side.
A little bit of everything. I think Granville is. He's
a hole plugger, yeah. I suppose.
Yeah.
Lots of experience.
Heaps of injuries there for them, so it's another tough one, I think, for the Cowboys. And I think it's only time for them that they will, I think, find a little bit of form. But it's got to click at some stage.
Any other day, like, if they're playing that game again at Mount Smart with a bit more confidence in their, playmakers, and I feel those running men are running better lines and stuff like that, they maybe get, the cliches there, the bounce of the ball, the rubber green. I think they come away with a good win in that one, but just probably didn't offer enough to get through the Warriors' defence, I suppose, on the day. And then, Newcastle will just continue to keep surprising everyone, like we said.
And awesome.
Even without Ponga. You thought Ponga would be probably one of their only shining lights. him and Hastings in the halves was looking like a pretty tasty combo at the start of the year, but now, all of a sudden,
it's Lockie Miller's team, isn't it?
they're coming out of the woodworks.
He's 5th or 6th in the WM voting there, I'm pretty sure. I think he's got about 17 points, so it seems to be his team now, and he just seems to be
under 15 games of first grade, probably even he played like 3 or 4 at Sharks last year. So
nothing too.
No more than 10 or 12 first grade games there, and to be up there fucking ripping it up for a side like Newcastle that really struggled last year. It's not like he's come in at the back at Penrith and slotted into a team that dominates the game.
Yeah, exactly. He's sort of come in and changed it up for them, and it's sort of, like you said, turned the team around a little bit. So I think unless the Cowboys can sort of find something over these next few days, figure something out as to why they're not putting in the performances that they expect, I think this could be, as long as Newcastle can play the way they have been, not a dominant display, but I think a fairly easy one, I think, for the Knights in this one.
Yeah, look, last week, you probably couldn't have done much more to, I guess, come away with a win there. Unlucky to come on the receiving end, of 2 Nathan Cleary field goals.
Just a little bit of magic again from the bloke, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think against any other side you play like that, you're coming away with a win if you're Newcastle. Couple of controversial penalties there that also may have led to tries, I believe. Frizzell pulling Luai's hair as well as grabbing him on the jersey. It wasn't as if he was grabbing
the hair.
The hair was kind of halfway down his back, which, good on you, Jerome, if you want to have hair like that. But I guess it's probably one of the hazards that it's a tough one on Frizzell. And he had another tough one a couple of minutes later with a bit of a few choice words at the referee, and then, or maybe it was Gaga with the choice words. I'm not too sure.
Oh, I can't remember who it was.
But someone was just, someone said "fuck me" to a ref's call, or maybe a drop ball or something like that, and then the ref penalised them for it.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Maybe it was a big hit or something like that.
I'm not too sure. I remember, but I can't remember who it was.
Fuck me dead, was what he said.
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, fuck me dead if you're Newcastle, I suppose. The fans will be saying that, but the players will be making sure that they're not saying that this week, I reckon. And they'll be coming away with, like you said, a pretty comfortable dub in this one based on form. The form lines this year, yeah.
Should be an easy win there, I think, for the Knights to finish off what will be our Standy Saturday. And as we move into Sunday, our weekly Queensland derby.
Yes.
Seeming to pop up every week now.
It's now like a mandatory thing.
Yeah, it's
customary
a tradition. Our next Queensland derby, the Dolphins and the Titans, and those bloody Finns, It's such a good start to the season, and they've just fallen off a little bit. They've lost a few of the troops, and a few players, obviously, a couple injured, a couple serving bans and things like that, and they're not able to put in those performances that we'd seen in that first 3-4 weeks of the season there.
Yeah, first 5 weeks they were 4-1 with just the close loss in that Brisbane derby there, but now they've racked up 3 losses on the year, and their second shellacking of the year.
It was another shellacking, you're right, it was.
At the hands of South there, but I mean, we thought that this might happen, with a few troops missing, but again, not too sure if it's been 4 weeks. I think it has been 4 weeks since Kaufusi hit Hastings.
Yeah,
3.
Possibly maybe one more.
Maybe one more week for Kaufusi there, which, like, once they get those troops back, I'm sure they'll be back really competitive if they've got a full strength side. But look, I reckon Wayno gets them up for this one. It's so far they've had really good performances in their couple of Queensland derbies that they've had so far. They've run the Bronx close, obviously, and a good convincing win over the Cowboys last week, was it? Sorry, the week before.
I think it was, yeah.
Round 5.
Yeah, I got to probably agree with you. You know, this Titans side, a hard one to sort of pick with the Titans. You see glimpses of brilliance from them, and then you see 20-minute periods where they concede 20 points, and they seem to have no defence at all, and that's sort of like that second half there that we saw up against Brisbane last week. You know, I think it is. It's if the Dolphins can get on a bit of a roll early on and get some points in the bag, it could be tough for the Titans to turn it around possibly. But I think it'll be all about who starts this game off the strongest here. If either team can start off with a good little bit of form and, you know, come away with a couple of early tries, and I see no reason why that either team can't continue on and come away with the win in this one.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Hopefully we see Gold Coast turn up with a good performance. They've had a couple of really good performances and a couple of probably below par performances so far this year, if that's fair to say. Probably pretty concerning to nearly concede 50 at home to Brisbane there. Obviously Brisbane are flying really high at the moment and playing some awesome footy, so you got to give them a lot of credit in that one. But yeah, a little bit concerning with, like you said, those sort of 10, 15, 20 minute patches they can have and let in 3 or 4 tries pretty easily. So hoping it's not like that this week. Because if it is, yeah, it'd be tough to reel the Dolphins in from a big lead, because I don't think Gold Coast quite have the troops that Souths do to blow them apart in the second half like we saw. And I think a tough week this week at training for the Dolphins will have them ready to at least be fighting for the full 80 this week. So it'll be a good game there to kick off your Sunday.
Yeah, it should be a good game. It'll be. I'm more looking forward to this game on Sunday than the next game. I've got to say. Again, yeah, I think I've got to be leaning towards the Dolphins. I think in this one, I think like you said, Wayne's experience will get them over the line in this one, and they have put in a few good performances so far in these Queensland derbies. So. They can get another win on the board, and whether or not Kaufusi's back this week or next, they can. At this stage, they're the bookies' favourites. They are. So yeah, I've got to be leaning towards them. I think in this one here, just. Yep. I think I have to echo that sentiment. But second game there of our Sunday, my Tigers up against the Manly Sea Eagles. Now. The Tigers coming off the back of a solid, a close win up against the Bio on the weekend, getting our first 2 points of the season. And yeah, I don't think there's too much we can really say. Obviously, it's going to be tough. It's interesting to see what will happen and who gets named in the halves, obviously, with Dewey now out for the season with his ACL. So I can imagine it will be Wakeham and Brooks. I can imagine it will be. Do we see a curveball and maybe see the likes of Laurie named at 6? I don't know if it would be the best call, especially if Brooks is 7, because he's not really like a 7-7. So I think it probably has to be Wakeham and Brooks there. But look, 2 points in the bank for Wests. Like you said, not too much we can say without just sort of sitting here and ripping on them and saying what's already been said. But hopefully it's, you know, a bit of a refresher and can come back ready to fight and at least ready to put on a couple more good performances, because I thought it wasn't all doom and gloom. Looking back on that performance against Parramatta. Yeah, we did. Like we said with the Cows just before, the rub of the green goes your way a little bit more, the bounce of the ball, playing with a bit more confidence in both attack and defence, and you come away with a good win in that game
I reckon.
Yeah, we showed some good signs, I think, but we're up against a Manly team who are coming off the back of possibly a bit of an upset win, I think, up against this
good one.
Storm side. And,
yeah.
A really, really solid win. They seem to, like we said before about a few of those players there, and not the flashiest of performances, but that really solid sort of showing you brute force, giving it all you've got. One of those games there from Manly, and I think it's going to be a really tough one for us to sort of to give them that same energy, and I don't know if we can bring the same as what Manly will bring. I'll be crossing my fingers and toes that Tommy Turbo has a week off, just doesn't bring his running boots. He's not up to his usual standard of play. Maybe stuck in the mud. Maybe he misses the bus even. Would be nice, but I'll be having to hope that he doesn't have kind of his usual standout games there. And but I think it is going to be tough for us. We're going to have to give it our all. And again, similar to that last game, if we can get a good start, who knows? But what I really want to see is just an 80-minute performance. If we can be in the game for the whole 80 minutes, I'll be happy, and it's an improvement on what we've seen so far this season.
Yeah, look, I think it's tough that it's Manly this week. They are coming off the back of a really good win, and like we said, a good old-fashioned game of footy there up against Melbourne. The battle of, I suppose, who could run it straighter and harder. Manly came out on top. Like you said, you probably have to hope that Tommy has a bit of a day off. But even then, Manly still do have a lot of strike and a low confidence West side. I see it being a tough day out, but I suppose it hasn't been one yet. So, like you said, if the lads can get out there and at least show that they're ready to compete for 80 minutes, you don't know what's going to happen. If you make your tackles and don't drop the ball,
hold the ball. It
goes a long way
exactly.
towards winning any game of footy. Doesn't matter how good the opposition are. If you can put them on their ass when they've got the ball and make sure you hold on to the ball yourself, all you need is a few good kicks and passes in between, really.
My heart says the Tigers, but my head, unfortunately, is leaning towards a Manly win there.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Tigers get a win.
It'd be a nice way to end your week off, end your Sunday before the end of the school holidays as well. Before we get into a bit of Anzac Day footy, it only comes around once a year. 2 games for us this Tuesday, and we start ourselves off with Roosters up against your lads, the Dragons.
Yeah, look, Tuesday night footy, don't know if we've had that in a number of years. Once in a blue moon, and that probably comes around, so obviously shout out to all the Anzacs. But yeah, traditional Anzac Day fixture. Saints up against the Chooks. At the Allianz Stadium there in Sydney, the Roosters' home ground. So, look, as a Dragons fan, after what we've dished up the last 2 weeks, it's probably feeling the same about this one as you are about Sunday afternoon there.
Yeah,
it's
not been the prettiest showings for the Dragons recently.
Yeah, and the Chooks seem to be, obviously losing that one against Cronulla and against Melbourne the week before, but they're a quality side, and Tedesco, I think he, apart from when we knocked him out a couple of years ago, he's had a blinder in this one like 3 or 4 times, I swear. So yeah, interesting to see the Chooks. Yeah, they've been pretty good since obviously a shock performance in round 1 up against the Finns, but a couple of losses, as I just said. So hoping that can play into our favour and the big occasion, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It's
make
one of those
it
games
a close
where
game for us.
It can either be a make or break. Hopefully something like that can bring the Dragons to the table, and we've seen, we saw a good game there for the Dragons up against the Dolphins there, where they did come away with a
resounding one there.
Yeah, so if we can see the best of the Dragons, if Ben Hunt can lead the lads out there, and again, if they can come away with a good start, who knows what we'll see from the Dragons there. But I got to say, like you, I don't know if I'm too hopeful for your lads that they can come away with anything too dominant in this one here. It's going to be a close one if they do come away with the win.
Yeah, look, I don't think I'll be going for a Dragons 13+ win unless, for anything other than value. It won't be a smart call. It'll be value driven, that's for sure, if I do end up tipping the Dragons to win 13+, because it's a bit of a grim situation when you're talking about NRL footy. Both of our clubs seem to be in a bit of turmoil at the moment, particularly when it comes to the front office and administration side of things. Lots of talk around, obviously, everything the Tigers have been doing wrong since who knows when, and lots of talk around the Dragons and how they've been handling this coaching situation. So who knows what's going to happen there, whether over the next few weeks we see some news come out of the Dragons there.
Yeah, exactly. That's been going on for a wee while now about whether or not someone's going to come in and take on the job, see if they can turn things around a little bit.
There's a couple of names I definitely wouldn't mind seeing being announced. The obvious ones, Shane Flanagan and Desi Hasler, would definitely go down without a hitch in this Dragons fans' eyes. I definitely would prefer that route compared to the younger coach, rather than going for the likes of Jason Riles or Ben Hornby. I think we've also been heavily linked with. Obviously lots of potential with those lads, but I think our ship is definitely one that needs an experienced skipper at the moment. Similar to the Tigers, bringing in Sheensy was a very wise move. It would be good for us to bring in an experienced coach to help, I suppose, take on the mantle to guide the next generation of Saints coaches and players coming through, because it's been a rough few weeks in the media. Obviously could have won both games in the last couple of weeks, so it's been disappointing to see. So it'd be nice if we can just come on the other side of things. Obviously a couple of little things, like we mentioned, Hudson Young with his stripping play there when we were on the attack to look for the win late on the game, and just a few silly penalties that led to points, which, looking back on it, is always easy to single out those moments, but I guess discipline wins you games at that level, at the highest level there, and obviously you don't want to give them too much shit, but the goal kicking's been a little bit...
Yeah, it wasn't too good yesterday, that's for sure.
Wanting there for Lomax, a few misses there, and ends up being the difference, which is a little bit frustrating
when something like that happens.
Yeah, it's always a bit gutting. 3 shots from the sideline is always a bit rough. But you look at the bloke on the other side, with the white headgear, he hasn't missed a kick in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So
Canberra have come away with 2 good wins, so could be the difference, I suppose, come the end of the season. So hopefully Zachy Lomax comes with his kicking boots. Maybe he
can change his fortunes.
Does a little something so that he gets his kicking boots, and somehow Tommy loses his running boots at the same time.
Something like that, a little magic
make for a good little long weekend for us.
I got to say, I'm leaning towards the Roosters in this one here. I think they come away with a pretty commanding win here. As though one of the teams in the next game, I believe, I hope at least, our second game there of Anzac footy, we've got the Storm up against the Warriors, and a bit of a repeat, hopefully, on the cards of last year's 72-10, I think, result.
Yeah.
that we saw.
70.
Huge win there from the Storm up against the Wires last year, and something that I'll be hoping can happen again. Tends to either be a big one or a close one here for Melbourne, but I'm really hoping that they can come away with a big win and drop the Warriors down a few places, which would be nice for me at least. But a really, really good matchup, I think, this one here, with the way that the Warriors have been playing. The Storm will be disappointed, I think, after last week to come away with the loss, and I think the Warriors will just be riding this high. We saw Webster after the game sort of say that he's got a little bit longer to prepare for this one and get a few more trainings in, which is nice. So we may see a slightly fresher, more ready to go Warriors team for this one here, and we could be looking maybe more like one of those close nitty gritty affairs that we seem to see every second year in this fixture.
Yeah, exactly. Every second year, it's a field goal or a try to decide the game, and then in between that, it's a big Melbourne win like we saw last year, and they'll be cut. They'll be ready for a bounce back after going down to Manly in what was one of the most, like we said, one of the most brutal games of footy you're going to see in a while. Lots of hard direct running. I guess like you said, you'll be hoping for that big Melbourne win in this one, but I think based on the way both teams are playing, it is going to be quite close. Melbourne have been okay without being their usual brilliant selves this year, and then the Wars have probably had one of their best starts to the season ever, and on the whole they're probably having the better season than the Storm, but Melbourne at home, I think with the home crowd, it probably gets them up in this one, and I do think the big names that Melbourne have, Harry Grant, Cam Munster, I just think that might be the difference on the day. They've been absolutely ripping and tearing lately, those two, and big games, as we said, big games, big players.
Yeah, I mean,
they stand
like
up.
I said, I'd love to see a big Storm win and see the Warriors fans put in their place a little bit more. But I somehow don't think it's going to be the case. We've seen like you said, it's been a good season for the Warriors, and they will be refreshed. They will be ready to go for this one, and I do still see the Storm coming away with the win, I think. But I do think it's going to be tighter than some may be thinking going into this one. It should be an awesome game there to finish off the week of footy.
Yeah, well, it kicks off at like 9 o'clock on Tuesday night there, so she'll be latey. But do you have a teacher-only day that Monday?
That's the Tuesday game.
Yeah, that's the Tuesday, but do you have a teacher-only day on the Monday?
Teacher-only day Monday, but we start on Wednesday.
And then the kids are back on Wednesday, so it's a short week off the back of footy.
Yeah, it's not too bad first day, and can't be too busy, I'm sure.
And but yeah, that wraps up our previews for next week. This upcoming week. Those two Anzac Day games obviously are next week, so it leaves us Canberra with the bye this week, the odd one out of the 17, and yeah, like we said, it was probably another one that on the one hand might have just gotten away from the Dragons, but equally the Raiders managed to pull it out of the bag and win a close one, and those are the sort of games, I guess, at the end of the season could be a huge 2 points. It come away with a win on goal on goal kicking or a late try or something like that. So good on them, I suppose. It was definitely heartbreaking to see, but yeah. Look, Jared Croker, it was always good to see him.
Yeah, exactly.
Come back and make one game closer towards 300. Xavier Savage made his return to the New South Wales Cup, so hoping off the back of another bye week.
He doesn't manage to make his way
snag,
back in there.
Croker's spot.
You'd like to think that Ricky keeps him around for a little bit longer so he can reach this big 300
Surely
mark.
Steve Chris will just be like, yeah, all right, I'll sit out, the next 5 or 6 weeks playing New South Wales Cup.
You'd hope so. It'd be nice if he did.
Or maybe him and Timoko can rotate or something like that. But, where does that leave Canberra? Just probably around mid-table with 3 wins, 4 losses, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I think they might be sitting there around 9th or 10th, somewhere around there.
So they'll be one of those sides that
they'll be there.
If they can keep picking up those wins, they might just sneak under the radar. They nearly did it last year, did they not?
They were
like in with contention and then got smashed by the Roosters.
Maybe, yeah.
I think they were in with contention on that last day, and the Roosters just pummeled them on the last game. But that's probably about it in terms of the NRL. We'll have to obviously have a look at the team list when they come out tomorrow and maybe look back at some of these thoughts with a raised eyebrow or two.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see how we go come 6 p.m. tomorrow. But we'll have a little look at how the Arse has been going, and unfortunately, second game in a row now where we've been up 2-0 and we've slipped and only come away after points. This morning up against West Ham, started off the game with 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, and we were looking like we were going to be able to come away with a resounding win, and again it just seemed to fall apart a little bit for Arsenal there.
Yeah, look, obviously it hasn't been the best week in the pursuit of the title. Like you said, letting that 2-0 lead slip for the second time. Hard to be too critical, I suppose, when we've had such a good season. And probably especially tough to single out any particular player for what was a bad game. I just think West Ham flipped a switch. And
yeah, they did. They definitely
all
did.
of a sudden it was a competitive game, and maybe we got caught lacking a little bit for that first goal. And when it's a one goal lead, anything can happen in the Premier League. And obviously unlucky for Saka to miss his penalty after he's been perfect since that Euros
miss, yeah.
Save that Donnarumma pulled off on him.
Seemed to be pretty similar to Salah's pen, I thought, from last week.
Copying Salah.
Him.
But then what, did they go down the other end, like from that?
Pretty much from that and
from that
scored,
goal kick and scored, which was
even more harder.
Yeah, compounded the misery.
Yeah, so it's a little bit unlucky, but it's ideal that we can continue to copy City and keep those results up. And we've obviously given them a slight grasp, I guess, in terms of it now. It's in both of our hands, and if they can obviously beat us and win their game in hand, then they managed to jump ahead. But we do still have to play them, and there's still 7 more games to go, so there's plenty more football to be played. And I think we've got to keep positive, and I don't see why we can't go on and still do it. But we do need to make sure that we put those sorts of results away, and we've still got a few more games, those niggly games, and we need to make sure that we do come away with the 3 points.
Yeah, look, I never thought we were going to catch them on goal difference. So I don't think it actually makes a huge difference in this one. If they win their game in hand, that'll obviously be 1 point behind us. I guess had we have won those 2 games, would have been in a position to, if we won both, to effectively be able to throw away the Man City game. If we had won this morning, would have been able to draw that game and still have, the chance to draw another game.
Yeah, exactly.
But now with, 1 point behind us, we can obviously still afford to draw this game, but they'll still be 1 point behind us rather than 3 points. So it doesn't leave us room for another draw. if we assume that Man City are just going to win all their games. But like you said, there's 7 to go. It's the Premier League. They're not coming up against average footballers. It's, they've still got to play Chelsea. They've still got to play, any side can pull off a result. We've seen Nottingham Forest do us a big favour only a month or two ago. So you're right, it is in our hands. It's in both of our hands. I suppose as a neutral, as long as you're not one of those clubs, maybe like a Spurs fan that wants Arsenal to lose, or
it makes it a bit more interesting. I think for
it makes it
now,
it makes it a pure title race where effectively there is a grand final, really, with the meeting of the two sides. And if City get up on us, then that's pretty much it. It's back in their hands, and if we win it, it's back in our hands. So it's awesome.
Yep, next Wednesday morning for us, our time. But before we take on City, and that
next Thursday morning.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And before we do jump into that big sort of cup final like game, we've got a game to get into before, and it's a game where we need to sort of bounce back, I think, from the last performance against them, and that's against Southampton. Sitting dead bottom of the table there at the moment, and they're seeming to be struggling quite a bit. It looks like they will most likely be going down, I would say. Probably the first to go down.
Yeah, I think they're, 4 points adrift of safety.
I think 4 points off 19th, I believe, actually.
Oh,
23 and 27 points, I think it is.
Yeah, but I think they're only 5 points off safety.
Yeah, it's still quite close down there.
So it's a couple of results away. So, look, you don't want to be... I don't want to say that we're taking our leads for granted, because obviously Liverpool really turned up a notch, and so did West Ham there, but we don't want to be letting any more leads slip, and Southampton will be desperate. So you look at the reverse fixture was 1-1 at St Mary's there, and that was bottom of the table at that point as well. So nothing's guaranteed, but hopefully it's a chance to bounce back, find a bit of confidence. Hopefully Saka can get out there and score, and just put it behind him. I don't think he's the sort of lad to sort of... It's like one of those temperaments, I guess, where he doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low. You see someone like Xhaka, he's very passionate. It can work really well for us, but it can also, cost us a red card or a penalty over the years.
Yeah.
But I think Saka's the sort of dude that he scores a last minute winner and he goes from 5 out of 10 to 7 out of 10, and he misses a penalty in the Euro finals and he goes from a 5 out of 10 to a 3 out of 10. Like, I don't think too much sort of either phases him or gets him too hyped, which is good. A bit like Kane, keeps that temperament sort of quite level-headed, so hopefully he can come back and put it behind him and sort of rediscover a bit of form, because I don't think he had the best game either against Liverpool. A lot of our threat coming through, the likes of Martinelli, Jesus down that left-hand side there.
Yeah.
But yeah, what can we say? Touch wood. Hopefully a good chance to get back on track and
hopefully see City drop some points along the way while we're in it, which would be even better.
They don't play before we play them.
They don't play.
They've got the FA Cup final and Europe. So
hopefully an injury to Haaland would be ideal.
If, maybe Sane can get out there and snap Haaland's ankle for us. Maybe KDB as well, and someone release a rocket of a shot to break Edison's wrist.
Yeah, it'd be perfect.
I'd love it.
But that's probably it, I guess, in terms of Arsenal. Now, we've seen the cricket move away from our shores and head over towards Pakistan. And to be fair, I actually had completely forgot that was playing over the weekend. But we had two games in 2 days.
Back to back, yes, Sunday night, I think.
Matt Henry with
Friday, Saturday night.
2 hat-trick balls in 2 games.
Really?
Yep, both nights in a row.
I thought it was Adam Milne with a hat trick the first night.
Might have had a hat trick, but I'm pretty sure Harry.
Oh, he was on
Who did I say?
Matt Henry.
Yeah, I think Matt Henry was on a hat trick.
Yeah, so he had two bangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. But look, the Black Caps definitely suiting the theme of the teams we support for the week. Arsenal unable to come away with any wins. The Tigers getting the win over the bye. I guess that's a technicality there. Dragons not winning. And Black Caps with a couple of losses. The first one was, pretty bad there. Obviously only reaching 94 in our pursuit of 182. Shout out to Matt Henry, obviously with the ball, and I think Adam Milne finished the first game with a hat-trick for us. But
so Matt Henry, first game, had a 2-foot, and then the second game, Adam Milne didn't get a hat-trick.
No, because he didn't get through. Maybe it was Matt Henry got a hat-trick. Maybe Adam Milne was on a hat-trick.
12.5, 12.6. No, I think it's just...
Maybe he was just on a hat trick.
Yeah, Adam Milne both times. Sorry, Matt Henry both times.
Yeah, I don't know where I got Adam Milne from. I think I might have just read the wrong Instagram post.
Looked at the wrong bloke there. But yeah, two losses, which is unfortunate.
Like the second one was a bit better in terms of our effort.
Yeah, but...
With the bat. But Baba smashing a ton is...
There's not much you can do when you see a performance like that, unfortunately. So
shout out to Chapman, 65 not out there in return, but obviously wasn't enough to drag us home. So we're currently sitting 2-0 down in the 5-0 series. So the third T20 is tonight at 4, I believe, overnight.
It is overnight tonight. I did just see that before. Yeah,
I won't be watching that one, but hopefully we can either avoid the whitewash early on here, get a win on the board, and that way we can still be in with a shout for the series. I'm not saying we're gonna bounce back and win 3 on the trot, but you can't win 3 on the trot without starting with 1, I suppose. So come on, the lads. Hopefully we can wake up tomorrow to some good news after what's been a little bit of a rough week to be an Arsenal and a Saints fan. Probably not too much easier being a West fan, but at least you didn't lose this week.
Yeah, it was a nicer week being a Tigers fan this week. No stress. But looking over at the NBA, your lads, obviously my adopted team for the finals as well, coming away with a win in game 1 of their final series up against the Cavs. 4-5 win, I believe it was in the end.
4.1, 101.97.
Yeah, I was going to say 99.95, but that's right, it was over 100. And yeah, 2 pretty solid performances there. Brunson and Randall having good games there. 27 points for Brunson and 19 points for Randall, 10 rebounds, so... Yeah, pretty good. Always good to get a road win in those 7-game series, because now you just have to win 3 more, and you've got 3 home games as well. So, not saying those are guaranteed wins, but hopefully the Knicks can keep us going for a bit longer. I didn't get to watch this one on Sunday morning. I was getting my back absolutely smashed by a lovely lady over at the Spring Spa in Ponsonby. It was an awesome massage. It was so good, but good to come out of it and see the text from you and say, bro, you seen the basketball today? And then I checked it and saw a good little win for the Knicks. So come on, the lads. I think the next game is Wednesday, New Zealand time. Always tricky when you look on the
NBA website because I like you go on the NRL website and it translates it to New Zealand times for you. Obviously, it's easier
You just
to
got to do
translate.
the old Google, okay? The old chuck a
if you look
sport
on Google, but I didn't want to look on Google today because sometimes when you Google like NBA, it'll come up below with like suggested for you.
Yeah.
And then it will say Arsenal 2 or West Ham, and that would have done me.
Yeah, that's not what you want to be saying, is it?
So yeah, I think it's Wednesday morning or during the day. I'll be in at the office, but hopefully I can chuck it up on my phone and tune in for a little bit and see the lads hopefully go 2-0 up before we return to New York.
Yeah, that's what you want to get in on those home games with a bit of a lead in your pocket and hopefully finish in 4 and get a few extra days in rest as well.
Yeah, it'll be tough to do, but I'd love it. That's for sure.
That's what you want to be aiming for.
Definitely.
Now, looking at the darts that we had over the weekend, unfortunately we're not off to Rarotonga just yet. No wins for us in terms of the King of the Yoki, and nothing that I can bring you just yet, unfortunately. The odds for those aren't out on Neds just yet, so I'll be looking at that a little bit later on in the week. But we had Gizzy, formidable Gizzy, coming up with his 4th win on the Premier League circuit there on Friday morning for us, and coming away with a solid win against Michael Smith there in the final. He had a match against MVG, I believe it was, or maybe Dobie. All 3 matches he averaged over 100, but one there where he averaged, I think, 115, and I think it's the 5th or 6th highest average in the Premier League history. And we also had 2 Players' Championships over the weekend. The Polish Eagle, Ratajski, coming away with the win in Championship 9 there Saturday night, Sunday morning our time. And Big Dirk van Duivenbode with his 3rd win of the year so far, coming away with the win this morning. So, as always, another Premier League round of Premier League to look forward to this weekend, and hopefully a King of the Yoki win. But we'll get that out to you later on in the week, along with some other bets, no doubt. But that's probably it from us. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching or listening and tuning in however you may do. Remember to give us a like, a comment, a 5-star, a subscription,
a voice message.
We're still after a voice message. Any follows.
If you tune in this late, really tune in and just get yourself in that
leave
voice
us
message,
your thoughts,
mate.
please. If you're having a punt, remember to do so responsibly. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the week of sports. Enjoy the future public holiday on Tuesday for Anzac Day. Stay safe, and we'll see you here next week.
Sounds good to me. Ciao.
Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.